Let's talk about the interesting fight between Edgar Berlanga and Alexis Angulo. Now, before, let me pull up, I want to pull up the fight stats because if you look at how Edgar looked after the fight, he did look a little more beat up than he looked a little bit more beat up than Angulo did after the fight. I was watching it, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he did look a little bit more beat up. But before we get into the fight stats, I'm laughing because this is funny right here. I got the punch stats here loaded, but if you did not see the fight, or you did, let's talk about the moment where he admitted, well, he admits to biting Alexis Angulo's ear. Like, dude, there is footage going around and pictures going around, and this happened during round 7. So check this out. This is what Berlanga said post fight interview. He said he was throwing elbows. I was about to do a Mike Tyson on him. He kept throwing his elbows, and I didn't want to get cut. That's his response to what Mike Tyson did back to Evander Holyfield in their rematch in 1997. And this is what how the boxing world reacted to this. Terrence Crawford took to Twitter saying, "LOL, he tried to bite him." Sean Porter said, "A replay that should not have been shown. Berlanga, that's not what I meant about biting down." And then you also had someone else say, um, Rosie Perez said, "Did Berlanga just do a Tyson right now?" And then you had Lou DiBella said, "If you bite your opponent, you're like a rabid dog. You should be disqualified." Teddy Atlas also tweeted saying, "Berlanga's record is more impressive than his fighting. I'm going back to the UFC fights." And then you had Caleb Trout said, "I scored a 76-74 Berlanga. Both lost 20 points for being awful." Like, yo, it is insane, dude. Like, I mean, he admitted, he's saying, he said that Angulo was throwing elbows, the ref was doing nothing about it, so he took matters into his own hands and tried to bite him. So, have you seen the pictures of that? That's a laugh in it in itself. But let's look real quick into the punch stats, right? So, you had Berlanga threw 423 punches, only 108 were landed, while Angulo threw 354 and 79 were landed. So Berlanga had 26%. He had a 26 percentage on his punches landed, and Angulo only had 22. Edgar threw a total of, or yeah, Edgar threw a total of 261 jabs and only landed 50, while Angulo threw 123 and only landed 12. So Berlanga finished with 19% there to Angulo's 10%. Then in power punches, Berlanga threw 162, landed 58 for 36%. And then you had Angulo throw 231, landed 67, but only to finish with 29%. So I guess in a way, Angulo landed more power punches. And in a way, yes, he did. If you look at Berlanga's face, those power punches connected in the face. But I mean, look, it makes sense. I get why he won. To me, Edgar still has a long way to go. There is still flaw that I saw in this fight and in the other fight that is just it's there and it's obvious. First of all, don't be biting people, dude. Don't be biting people because if you try to do that on the wrong fighter, it is and you don't bite that ear off and get disqualified, it's gonna end badly for you. And it sucks, but yeah, I mean, I get it. You're Puerto Rican. It was a big, the day before the Puerto Rican Day Parade. When they celebrate out there in New York and Madison Square Garden, and you had Miguel Cotto there, and you had Don Omar. Don Omar came out and he did the performance for you on your way down to the ring. But yeah, man, I mean, I still have high hopes for Berlanga. I think he would be, at 100. I think he is at 160 pounds. Let me check. He fights. Let me see. He fights super middleweight. Am I? Is that? Yeah, he retained the NABO super middleweight title. He won this back against Marcelo Esteban back in 2021. He won the vacant NABO super middleweight, And yeah, man, he's. But see, like this is what's crazy, right? When it came to Berlanga, this is where I think it's insane that he's starting to underachieve. If you look at his first 16 fights, he had 16. He was 16-0 with 16 knockouts, all in the first round. But if you look at his last four fights now, for him to go 17, 18-0, 19-0, and 20-0, he's been winning by unanimous decision. And this is where it should worry Puerto Ricans that his last four fights has been going up in competition and he's been struggling to get any kind of stoppage. He's been going to unanimous decision. Now, the difference between him and let's say a Jaime Munguia, right? Jaime Munguia is going up with competition, but his last three fights have finished in a way better than um than Edgar Berlanga has. Like if you look at it, so let's look at the last four fights from Jaime Munguia. Back in 2021, he beat Camille says Cesar Cesar Meta. Um, he had a he stopped them in the sixth round. Or they, yeah, yeah. After the sixth round, he stopped him. Then he had a unanimous decision against Gabriel Rosado, and then he had a TKO against Demetrius Ballard, and then he knocked out Jimmy Kelly. So you see, as competition starts getting better, you have to get better yourself. And I think that's where the chosen one, Edgar Berlanga, is struggling. That's where I see his struggle being there. That, hey, competition is getting better, but is he really doing the right thing to improve? You know, that's how I see it. I mean, I don't know how you guys see it. Say what you want to say, call me a hater or not. I want the dude to be successful. I really do. I think he would be he'd be a great fighter. He could be, the next Miguel Cotto for the Puerto Ricans, him and Xander Zayas, who Xander Zayas couldn't fight because of what happened. He ended up getting some kind of infection before, so he had to pull out of the fights. But yeah, man, it's interesting. Let me just see. Um, yeah, it's just interesting there, dude. That's all I can say. There was times where it looked like Berlanga should have fought more toe to toe, and I think that he should have stayed in front of him more and applied more pressure. There was times where it looked like Angulo was shooked up and he just didn't know what to do, and I was like, "Yo, Berlanga, apply that pressure," and he did not. And like, I mean, I get it's easy to say one that's watching, hey, somebody that's watching it, apply that pressure. But it's a whole different story once you're in the ring in front of someone. The plans change. The plans are always changing through the rounds, and that's just how it is.